Hello everybody. Today we will discuss about class 8th English, that is Honeydew textbook, chapter number 1. The best Christmas present in the world. The first question is, what did the author find in a junk shop? Answer: the author found a 19th century roll-top desk in the junk shop. It was made of oak. It was a very bad condition. The roll-top was broken into several pieces. Question number 2: what did he find in a secret drawer? Who do you think had put it in there? Answer: the author found a very small black tin box in a secret drawer. It was put there by Mrs. Jim Macpherson, who was Jim's wife. Her name and address were on the envelope inside the box. Now we come to the third one. Who had written the letter to whom and when? Answer is Jim Macpherson had written the letter to his wife Connie Macpherson on December 26, 1914. Now we come to the fourth one. Why was the letter written? What was a wonderful thing that had happened? Answer is Jim wrote the letter to tell his wife about a wonderful thing that had happened on Christmas Day. The British and the Germans were engaged in a war. Yet on this day, both the troops met in no man's land. It was a thing of wonder because right in the middle of a war, the warring soldiers were making peace. Now we come to the fifth one. What jobs did Hans Wolf and Jim MacPherson had have when they were not soldiers? Hans Wolf was a Dusseldorf. He played the cello in the orchestra. Jim MacPherson was a school teacher from Dorset. And now the next question is sixth one. Had Hans Wolf even been to Dorset? Why did he say he knew it? Answer: no, Hans Wolf had never been to Dorset. He had learned all about England from school and from reading books in English. Now, the seventh one. Do you think Jim MacPherson came back from the war? How do you know this? Answer: no. It is most likely that Jim MacPherson did not come back from the war. The note papers, sellotape to the tin box mentioned in the letter contained in the box to the last letter from Jim. This was perhaps the last that Connie heard from Jim while celebrating Christmas. In no man's land, the British and the German soldiers played a game of football. Hans told Jim that he hoped the war would also be resolved by a football match. To this, Jim replied that he wasn't very good at football, but would be sure of winning if they played cricket. The match was won by the Germans. This perhaps indicates that the Germans might have also won the actual battle between the two troops. Now we come to the eighth one. How old was Mrs. Macpherson now? Where was she? Answer: Mrs. Macpherson was 101-year old. She was in a nursing home in Burlington House. Now this is main second main. So the first question is, who did Connie Macpherson think her visitor was? Answer: Connie Macpherson thought that her visitor was her husband, that is Jim Macpherson. Question number 2. For how long do you think the Connie had kept Jim's letter? Give reason for your answer. Answer: Connie must have kept Jim's letter for a long time. This is because she told the narrator how she read it quite often every day so that she could feel that Jim was near her. Now, the third question begins here. Which sentence in the text shows that the visitor did not try to hide his identity? The answer is the sentence which shows that the visitor did not try to hide his identity. Is I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. Now we come to the fourth question. Why do you think the desk had been sold and when? Answer is the desk must have been sold when the house in which Connie Macpherson lived had caught fire. She was taken to a nursing home. All the burnt up things must have been sold by the neighbors after that. Now we come to the fifth one. Why do Jim and Hans think that games or sports are good ways for resolving the conflicts? Do you agree? Answer: Jim and Hans thought that games are sports are good ways of resolving conflicts because nobody dies in the match, no children are orphaned, and no wives become widows. Due to these reasons, games are good ways for resolving conflicts. Wars only lead to death and devastation. Now, the sixth one. Do you think the soldiers of the two armies are like each other or different from each other? Find evidence from your the story to support your answer. Answer is the soldiers of the armies were like each other. Both the troops celebrated Christmas with each other. They shared each other's food. All of them were smoking, laughing, talking, even drinking and eating. They even talked about the books they liked. They agreed about everything. They also played a game of football for which both Hans and Jim cheered, clapped hands, and stamped feet. They also exchanged carols at night. Moreover, they had the same view that war only brought death and destruction, and they hoped that each would be alive to see his family. All these instances show that the soldiers of the two armies were similar to each other. Now, the seventh one mention the various ways in which the British and the German soldiers became friends and find things in common at the Christmas. The British and the German troops celebrated Christmas with each other. They enjoyed each other's food. All of them were smoking, laughing, and talking, drinking, and eating. Hans Wolf and Jim Macpherson shared the cake Coney had baked. They talked about Bathsheba, Gabriel, Oak, Sergeant, Troy, and Dorset. They even talked about the books they like. They agreed about everything. Both the troops played a game of football for which both Hans and Jim shared, clapped hands, and stamped feet. They also exchanged carols at night. In this way, they celebrated Christmas together, finding a lot in a common between them. Now, the answer 8. What is Coney's Christmas present? Why is it the best present, that is, the Christmas present in the world? Answer is when the narrator came to see Coney and gave her the box, she mistook him for her husband Jim. She thought that Jim had come home for Christmas. This was Coney's Christmas present. It was the best Christmas present in the world for her because Jim had written in the letter that he would come home on Christmas. She had read that letter several times every day to feel that he was near her. Now that is he he was finally there with her. She was extremely happy. Now the ninth one. Do you think the little the title of this story is suitable for it. Can you think of any other titles? Yes, the title of the story is suitable for it. The spirit of Christmas is the theme that prevails throughout the story. It was on Christmas Day, in the middle of the raging war, that two warring troops made peace. The moment of the peace that the soldiers shared with each other was the best Christmas present for them. Again, it was on a Christmas Day that the narrator went to see Mrs. Macpherson. He went to return her husband's letter to her. The letter was precious to her, but even more precious was her delusions that the narrator was her husband Jim, who she believed had returned as promised on Christmas Day. This was the best Christmas present in the world for her. So here we end up the question answer session of the class 8th Christmas best Christmas gift. So we'll just meet in a next session, that is the next chapter. Thank you.